Well, a diplomatic offensive in Syria may spare civilians a military onslaught. There is word the government has reached a deal with a key rebel group. Now, right at this moment, its fighters are holed up just east of Damascus, clinging to their last bastion in Douma. The stronghold has been under heavy attack for weeks as the Syrian army tightens its grip, but an agreement could change the situation dramatically. Rebecca Collard has more from Beirut.
State TV Sana is saying that there has actually been a deal reached with Jaish Islam to see these fighters leave Douma, the last major city controlled in eastern Ghouta by rebel forces, and go to Jarablus, which is in the north on the Turkish border. Now, we don't have more details about this deal, but in theory, it would see the surrender of these fighters and then the evacuation of them and their families. Now, Michael, we don't have confirmation yet from the rebel group that this deal has been struck. They have said over the last couple of weeks that they didn't want to leave Douma, that they wanted to stay under Russian protection in the besieged enclave and give up their weapons and essentially vow not to fight against the government, but not actually have to leave. So we'll have to wait and see until we have confirmation, but it seems fairly sure now that the state news agency of the Syrian government is announcing it, that a deal has actually been reached, Michael, for the last rebels to leave eastern Ghouta after this 6-week military offensive that has killed as many as 1,600 people and displaced 150,000 people, Michael.
Well, as you say, displaced as many as 150,000 people, killing more than hundreds. That said, though, there are still tens of thousands of civilians who are trapped because of the fighting. What does this deal mean for them?
Well, you know, I was just speaking with a representative in Syria from the International Committee of the Red Cross, and essentially she was raising more concerns about the civilians that are still inside. You know, Michael, even if this deal is reached, even if the fighters do leave, even if the fighting stops, the situation is still very, very dire in these areas. You know, this area was under some form of a siege for years. There was a lack of medical attention, a lack of food, a lack of a number of basic necessities. So even if the fighting stops, there are still a lot of concerns, protection concerns also for the tens of thousands of people that remain inside eastern Ghouta, but also those that have been evacuated to government-held areas where humanitarian organizations simply can't keep up with the number of people displaced and are not able to provide them with adequate food and shelter. And now, the one other thing I think that we should mention, Michael, is that should this deal be confirmed, this will be a massive symbolic and strategic victory for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. You know, this was the one area, eastern Ghouta, where rebels could actually hit his stronghold in the capital. That will no longer be possible. And also this means that symbolically, he is taking back more territory. And that seems to be the situation increasingly in Syria. The rebels are losing territory fairly rapidly, and that territory has been taken by forces allied to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.